Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors here at Trillium. We've been looking at the notion of change, outer change, and the inner change. The outer change is pretty obvious. It's the kind of things that happen in our life that move us in new directions. Change in health, change in jobs, relationships beginning or ending. The inner change, what we're identifying as the transitions, are what accompany the outer change, but they take a lot more time than outer change usually does. That ability to adapt ourselves and to make the new familiar to us, to make the new comfortable or understandable for us, is something that takes often a long time. I've seen people go through the outer change really quickly, yet often not even make the transition. They never do make it into the new world, the new reality. It never does feel like home to them. I've seen people spend their lives looking backwards and realizing now that it's because they've never made those transitions. Our ability to make those transitions in the midst of the change is so critical to us. It's so important. We will not have the kind of life that God intends if we can't do the transition work. And the Bible symbolically describes the transition as the wilderness between what was and what will be. That intermediate time, the gap time that we all need to go through. And I think, like in the story of Israel, we tend, when we get into those places, we often panic. We get really afraid. I don't think it's so much the wilderness that scares us, but we wonder, how long will we have to live in this in-between place, in-between time? How long is it going to take? Because we can't, in the moment, see any resolution to it. And we want to get out of this place as fast as we can. We want to go to the familiar in our lives as quickly as possible. And the temptation for us in those places and at that time is to go back to what we already know. Just simply go back to what we already know. Or to try to race through the wilderness to the new. I see this a lot today in relationships. People get into romantic relationships so quickly. They just race into them. They race into the intimacy of the emotions and the physical intimacy. And people are living with each other and they're forming new lives so quickly. And the foundation work of the wilderness is not allowed to take place for us. There's a saying I've seen on posters, speed kills. The police put this out a lot. I guess in automobile accidents, speed is a major contributing factor in a lot of cases. And the call to us is to slow down, to slow our driving down. And it's not just on the road, it's also in life generally. We tend to race through things in life so quickly. We write an email in response to one that was sent to us. We write it in anger and frustration and upset, and we're so inclined to want to send it off so immediately. Yet wisdom teaches us to hold back for a moment. Maybe put it in the draft box, or read it out aloud to ourselves, or do some kind of technique to slow the whole process down. It's true in our relationships at home, in our families. Somebody says something to us and we get revved up about it and we respond in kind and it escalates upwards, and ultimately in the speed of it all, we're saying things and doing things that we would never otherwise say or do. God has set up the wilderness for us as a holy place, and part of its purpose is to slow us down, which is so hard. Might be the hardest thing we do in the wilderness, simply to slow down. Israel could not slow down. They just couldn't do it. They just could not slow down. They panicked in this place. Some wanted to go back. Some wanted just to give up. Some wanted just to push hard into the promised land. And ultimately, it delayed them leaving it. Instead of having a relatively short journey through the wilderness, they ended up living in it for 40 years. That's how long it took them to finally get the message. The promise of God to us today is that we will only live in the wilderness as long as we need to. God is with us in that place. And because God is with us, we have nothing to fear from the wilderness, or from our past, or to where we're going, our future.